Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 66 for September 5th, 2018. That was my not-so-gentle fade of Lee Moon's fantastic theme music for our show. Thank you, Lee Moon. My name is Russell Frost. I am your host this evening. Let's introduce our voluminous panel and move forward bravely. My wingman on this show, our co-host, back feeling healthy after a small and insignificant medical procedure. No, it was not liposuction. Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello. Yes, my lips are still the same size. Welcome to the show. We got a ton of stuff to show, and we've got a huge amount of panelists today. So welcome, everybody. So
there's going to be some good arguments today, I'm sure.
Yep, I'm sure there is, yeah.
Feeling. Next to him, at least on my screen, is our man in Chicago, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, Mark, it wasn't your lips. I was concerned about you getting lipoed.
He was getting liposuction.
Yeah, liposuction. So, yeah, it's rainy here in Chicago.
Certified doctor on our panel to comment on that, but he wisely did not.
He's sitting this one out.
Well, speaking of good arguments, here's a man who's never disagreed with me and always backs me up 100%. Our man in Oregon, Mr. Patrick Connors.
Hello, wherever and whenever you are. And Russell was totally lying. I'm going to disagree with him on that like I do everything else he says.
Oh, that hurts, Patrick. That hurts. That hurts me deep down. Deep down. Well, speaking of deep down pain, our friend, our medical board certified physician and owner of, is it 3 yet?
3 currently, yes.
3 Tesla. So you got it.
I did. I picked it up yesterday, and you can say hello to my lawnmower man who keeps driving by my window here.
Kind of like the Stephen King book or something, right? I mean, like, whoa, turn that thing down.
Do we want to discuss why Evan's not allowed to ride lawnmowers anymore?
Yeah. Owner of not 1, not 2, but 3 Teslas, a Model 3, a Model X, and a Model S, Mr. Dr. Evan Fusco. That's
a Model S that's for sale if anyone's interested.
There we go.
Great shape, good price.
And of course, Evan has signed the hood, so it is a signature model.
See?
Yeah, it's a tough market right now, but we'll find a good buyer, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, I picked up my bright red all-wheel drive Model 3 yesterday up in Kansas City, and it is very nice. There were a few surprises, mainly because I've been lazy and haven't done all my homework, but other than that, it's going to be a great car. I'm looking forward to it.
Wow. So, I mean, any immediate, we have to talk about this for a moment.
All right.
I mean, any immediate observations, Model S, Model X versus Model 3?
Yeah, so it's definitely a different car. I mean, there's no question about that. And I think the biggest surprise that hit me right off the bat is that there's no XM radio antenna in it. There's no XM service at all, and it's not available. The only option you have is to stream it through your phone, unless you want to buy one of those little magnetic antennas to stick on your roof and a wire running through the door. It's unavailable, and apparently there was some rumor that it would be available on the premium interior, or premium audio, but it is not. So I was kind of disappointed in that. That disappointed and subsided a little bit when I canceled my XM subscription today and got some money back. But I really would rather have it in there. And why I didn't know these things, I don't know. But I didn't realize that like the nav screen is there 100% of the time. You can't really switch it around with other displays, and there's no energy display. And that's something I actually really kind of like to use, particularly when I'm traveling longer distances. It helps me kind of get a sense of what kind of energy efficiency I'm getting. Again, especially on long trips, if it's raining, I kind of want to get a little assessment of if I'm going to have enough mileage to get where I'm going. I live in a relatively rural area, and some of my trips are going to be pretty marginal on distance. And if I need to make an alternative plan, I like to be able to do that ahead of time. So it's a little trickier to get that information on this vehicle.
It does show you what energy it expects you'll have left when you arrive, right? So that's not, and so that is updated in real time depending on how you drive.
Sure, but it's averaged over the entirety of your trip.
Right.
So if
Correct.
you started out the first 50 miles of your 280-mile trip on dry, flat pavement, and then it starts snowing, that percentage is going to take a while before it starts dropping and averaging out and telling you what's realistic for the last 150 miles or 100 or 200 miles of your trip. So it's, you know, and whereas with the energy display in the SNX, you can pull up that last 30 miles average, and it gives you a better assessment of what your actual watt hours per mile is under the current conditions. And I not infrequently used that on some of these longer trips that were going to be tight on range. So I do miss that little piece of it a little bit.
Have you looked at a better route planner?
I have, but
Because
again, it's online, right?
Oh yeah, you might not be able to do that because you don't have the browser with
Right. There's no browser, so
Right.
you can't really do it in real time.
So it does have a real-time option. If you have your account, you give them your account information. It has an energy graph that shows
Okay.
it's really pretty neat on a long trip, but that only works in the browser. So
Yeah.
not an option for
Yep,
the.
and there's no browser. Yeah. So
Yeah.
which I don't really miss the browser a whole lot. I did use it for certain things. The Tesla Waze, for instance, in my SNX, and like XM to find out what channel the Cardinals are beating the Cubs on. Those kind of things. But,
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Did the X have XM radio?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And even my S with the solid roof. When in the early models, you could get the S with a solid roof and get the XM antenna because they put the antenna in the rear view, the side view mirror. But then they quit doing that at some point. And you had to get the panel roof to have that feature. But it's completely unavailable on the 3 right now.
So aside from that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
No, I mean, listen, it was great. This thing accelerates and decelerates more smoothly than either the S or the X. It's quieter on acceleration. I don't hear any engine whine at all, even on full acceleration. I don't hear a peep or engine motor whine. It handles beautifully. I think it's really comfortable. I really enjoy the more Spartan dash and interior display. It's just super clean. I don't really like that they changed the mobile charging thing because then I can't use all my old adapters. But other than that, it's really nice.
I'm curious to find what you feel about the suspension difference.
It just feels more solid. I mean, even as little body rotation as there is on the S, this is more stable to me. It feels very confident, and it may be part of that is that I can use more of the road because it's a smaller vehicle. I feel like it handles real well. I can use both edges of the road a little bit more. I think it's going to be the perfect next vehicle for me. Oh, I know one other thing that I remembered hearing it after I thought about it, but didn't really appreciate it. Our Model X is on AP Autopilot version 1, and we can use the auto lane change pretty much anywhere on that vehicle. On this one, it's really restricted to interstates, apparently, on this software. And so the first part of once it calibrates, it takes about 30 miles for the autopilot to calibrate before you can use cruise control or autopilot. And once it did that, I was able to use it and do lane change. Then I made a turn off of the I-49, heading back toward the boonies where I live. And but it was still a 4-lane divided 70-mile-an-hour highway. And I kept trying to lane change. It just wouldn't do it. And I thought, well, it's been a little bit rainy. Maybe the rain screwed it up. But then it got dry and everything was clear and it still wouldn't do it. And so a little investigation and triggered my memory that there was something about that it was kind of database limited to interstates and certain highway systems. And in other places that they wouldn't let you do that at all.
So that's an AP2 thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
Me too. Well, congratulations, Evan.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad. Now, not only do you have 3 Teslas, or maybe 2 at some point, hopefully soon. Speaking of which, as Evan mentioned, his is for sale. You can buy.
Yep.
A
And
celebrity
it's on
Model S.
eBay, but if you contact me directly, I'll give you a good no hassle price.
There you go. There you go. But we have-
Patrick, if I use your referral code to buy Evan's car, do you get a kickback?
Yeah, I think Evan will give you a beer. Use my referral code. Evan will throw in a beer.
or you could just make a bet with Patrick and get a beer out of him anyway.
You're assuming you're going to win any of those.
I already won one, didn't I?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You were going to give that up 2 weeks ago. Now you're like, I'm going to fight. I'm going to stay in fight. That's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. You stay and fight. Well, let's get to the news. And speaking of, we have an interesting video to start with. Do you want me to run that?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I will run the video, which sort of speaks for itself.
It does. It does. If you like to see a blur, but
there, yeah.
this,
but there
this
is-
happened to be in my neck of the woods. This is Barrie, Ontario, and this was recorded a few nights ago during the week, where a car rushes in. I believe from this screen, it would have been from the right to the
right.
left.
Yep.
And go ahead and press
Here
play.
we go. We'll press play and see what happens. So, whoa!
And there we go. Flying vehicle.
Wait a second. Are you serious?
There goes
Something
Daisy
in your
Duke.
air.
People heard the crash as it landed. But this is a notorious location of a railway track crossing that has a massive ramp. Basically, now there is signage indicating that you should slow down, but apparently someone was not paying attention and decided to hit it at full speed, and of course launched about 100 feet in the air across.
Okay, maybe you mean like 100 feet in distance, not 100 feet.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, distance. Yes,
Not 100
It was
feet
in
up.
Canada, so make that 30 meters.
30 meters.
Patrick, guys, I don't know if you've seen, but
Oh.
yeah, it was released earlier today. I don't know if maybe you didn't see this. There is actually clearer video.
This comes another.
Well, here,
Tony.
Tony.
Here
Hold
comes
on.
a Tony video.
Oh.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Put
yeah.
the focus on Tony there.
The good old boys.
Yeehaw.
Yeah,
I
just
didn't know there was a Hazard County,
just
Canada.
just a bit north of Georgia, yeah. But what was interesting was that the camera footage that was collected, the reason that there was camera footage is because this happens all the time at this guy's place. So he put a camera outside his house to record some of this because in the middle of the night, he would hear these noises of cars jumping over the
Someone
railway
needs to talk to him about better camera and angle placement.
So
because-
after this one, I'm sure he's going to get a few more motion sensor cameras, maybe closer to the road, so we can really get some action
Yeah, you
shots.
need a good low angle so you can see the
Yeah.
side of the car down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Step up his game.
Mhm.
exactly. So if we could get maybe some panning options on the camera, that would be
Right,
good.
right.
But
Maybe
This-
a higher frame rate, right?
this car, of course, performed a good amount of damage on it, and I'm just trying to source the picture that I had off of our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, and there was a picture after it landed. Here it is. Got it.
Dun,
Okay,
dun,
so let me
dun.
just.
Oh,
click
I
it
I
here.
have not seen the aftermath picture.
Yeah, I mean, it did not look like it ended well.
Right.
And it said that he crashed.
Right. I heard that too. He crashed into.
Oh, I saw this.
So you can notice that it's the car's been lowered.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's got the extend back wheel going.
Right, yeah. Nice.
And it looks like he's got some sort of a snake that's been pulled out of the car and is laying on the ground.
The way that's going back to what looks like the
I think
tow
it's
truck,
a
I think
table,
they're
yeah.
just gonna drag it back onto the flatbed.
And all the tires are popped. Like you can see the front one is popped.
Mhm.
So I think this probably needs to be reported National Highway Transportation Safety Board for the suspension issue there.
Right.
Yet another case.
Obviously, a manufacturing defect.
Defect,
Yes,
yes.
That is,
Why does somebody who has the money to buy this car do that?
I can only imagine lack of forethought. They thought this will be fun. Let's see how far we can jump the Tesla, and they kind of forgot about the coming down part.
I've never seen anyone that got interviewed or talked about it. They're probably too embarrassed to say so. But yeah, it was just a stupid thing. Like,
Crazy.
who was out there thinking that the car is made to fly? I don't know. But
Right, exactly. I mean, like the ramp damages it, and then the landing. It's like,
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about something a little more sane. Mark has a story from Electric.
out. If
I'm sorry,
that's,
Patrick.
I just want to say, if that's what you plan on doing, take the bus instead.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've seen that movie. The bus has to drive 55 miles an hour everywhere, right? That one.
I was trying to support public transportation, not to make a speed
Not-
joke. but okay.
Save the Tesla, take the bus.
80s.
Yes.
Save the Tesla, take the bus. Exactly. So Electric reported also this week that Tesla's rolling out a few different layers of security for their cars. They're going to improve the cryptography of the key fob and add an optional pin to drive feature. So I guess this is from research that they've been doing as to how secure the key fob is. And the thought of adding, putting your pin before you drive, even if you have the key fob in the car. So it's something that they have been discussing for a while, and it is going to be rolling out to the S and the X, because they both have the key fob, obviously. There is rumors that the 3 will get a key fob, but that has not happened as of yet. So we don't know if that will apply, or maybe that the new key fob that comes out will already have that built into it. But certainly for the S and X, there looks like there's going to be an upgrade for that for those fobs. So, and I was curious from the panel, would anyone here feel the need to use a pin to drive number? I know I wouldn't, but how about the other owners here?
When I read this article, my first thought was there's not a lot of need for that. But then reading the article about how many Teslas have been stolen in Europe. So, I mean, clearly this doesn't seem like something that's all that necessary around here. But internationally, I'm sure there are people who are really going to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you have to park in public places a lot or leave the car for extended periods of time. Why not have that extra layer? And maybe you'll just use it part of the time if you're going to leave it at the airport or you're going to whatever, that you'd at least have that extra layer of security. So even if they somehow hack the key fob, they have to get another layer to get through that. Now, a four-digit PIN isn't going to stop a sophisticated hacker, but at least it makes it a little bit more difficult.
But a 35 number pin probably would.
That would do it. Yes.
No, that would be bad. But I don't think adding the extra layer of security is a bad thing at all.
And I like that it's optional.
Yeah. You would hate that they've locked it down now to it. So it's certainly an option is a much better idea.
And so on the 3, there's an option that's designed to keep your teen driver from exceeding the speed limit that requires a PIN already. It's kind of a similar concept. So you can preset a maximum speed of your choosing. It, I think, came at default at 85. But you can set that so that if your kid's driving, they have to plug that in there, and it limits them to 60 or 55 or 25 or whatever you want.
And that way they won't fly as far over the
They
railroad.
won't fly as far over the railroad
They'll
track.
only get 50 feet instead of 100.
There you go. Well, also from Electric this week, a clarification that's going to leave some people probably a little upset. Tesla had talked about track mode for the Model 3 and all the amazing performance that it would bring. Some folks who paid the $10K for the performance version were hoping to get track mode. Well, as it turns out, track mode is only available with the $10,000 performance version plus the performance upgrade package for another $5,000. Then you get full track mode. What's the difference? An extra 10 miles an hour on the top end from 145 to 155, carbon fiber spoiler, suspension upgrade, and 20-inch performance wheels. Oh, and alloy pedals.
Yes.
Which I bought for $16 on eBay, by the way.
And I bought for $20 Canadian on eBay.
Wow, $20 Canadian. That's like
$20 Canadian.
This is just, if you're a Tesla customer and you're not carefully looking at the options and you're not familiar with Tesla's sort of in-app purchase model of features that are unlocked depending on what you purchased, welcome to it. I don't know that they were deceptive. They may not have been as open about it as they could have been, but
it kind of makes sense, though, that they're not going to give you track mode on a car that doesn't have the increased brake sizes and calipers.
no argument at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Patrick, are you sad?
No, not at all.
Well, I'm furious.
Says one of two people on the panel who don't even have a Model 3. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. The next article from Inside EVs I thought was fascinating, only because I like tweaky little details. Inside EVs reported that the Model 3 battery can transfer twice as much heat as the Model S P100D. Now, why is that? Well, let's show you, and I'll show you by screen sharing the graphic from Inside EVs. And what you're looking at here is on the top, this is the old way. You see the little circles are batteries, and the blue line is the coolant line. Okay? The new line is much smaller. It contains many fewer cells, and you'll notice that that coolant line is in direct contact there, and apparently is much more efficient at transferring heat. All in all, super cool upgrade, super great thing for long battery life, which is, again, the heart of an electric vehicle. That's what you want, is good battery management.
Yeah, I think one of the other big advantages here, if you look at the old design, it's in series. There's one coolant line. It starts at the beginning, and as the coolant flows through, it heats up. So the batteries at the end of the line, they're in what's called a thermal shadow. Then if you look at the new design at the bottom, the coolant comes in on the left side, and it feeds all the lines in parallel. So now all the batteries are getting an equal level of coolant. There's none that are, I mean, the ones on the right side are getting some shadow of the left, but those lines are significantly shorter.
Yes.
So, yeah, you're doing much more equal cooling. The ones at the end of the line are not getting neglected severely.
Right.
And this is the thing that Tesla has prided itself on, which is battery management and battery longevity. Unlike other electric car companies that haven't done such a good job and have faced a lot of well-deserved flack from their owners because their cars lose range.
Mm-hmm. One thing about heat transfer and cooling transfer, this is something that I learned in college. So I know it's true because I paid a lot of money to learn this. But when you are cooling beers in a cooler, you should add water to the ice.
Well, and salt.
Well, right.
A good transfer rate, and
So the reason this is, prevalent here or
relevant,
related, whatever. I'm too busy drawing the correlation. So
you had to put too many beers in college.
Yes.
Struggling to draw a correlation.
Anyway, the reason I brought that up is that one of the things it says in the article is the cells are glued directly to the cooling tube, and so by doing that, they have a better heat transfer from the battery to the coolant because there's more contact surface. Just like adding water to the ice when you're cooling the beers. Everything I know comes back to cooling beers.
Cooling beers, yes,
Yeah.
yes. The other bonus of this is not only are you able to dissipate the heat quicker, but that also rolls into things like being able to charge faster and being able to take a bigger current and
Right.
being able to get out of there faster. So those things enable, we believe, and we don't know this is not fact, but when the level 3 superchargers come out, there is talk that the Model 3s will be able to charge much faster than the current S's and X's with the old architecture. So
Right. Yeah, we'll see. And even with the current V2 superchargers, the Model 3 will stay at the maximum charge rate much longer. So you can get in and get out. They have a smaller battery pack usually, which means it takes less time. They get more range per kilowatt hour, so it takes less time. And they can charge at the full rate for longer, so it takes less. So the Model 3 has definitely got several advantages.
That's funny. So is there any talk about upgrading or changing the systems in the S and X?
there are many rumors about that. Yes.
Okay.
Is that something? Can they just do that over the air?
That is
On the conference call earlier this year, JB Straubel said they were not going to make any changes to the S and X in 2018. They were solely focused on the Model 3, but who knows what'll happen next year? There could be a major redesign coming.
right. Which,
And it would stand to reason that would happen, right? Once you've got the prototype that works much better, why would you not roll it into the others if there was a cost and performance, savings?
Yeah,
So-
right now every 2170 cell that they make has a destination. It's either going into a 3 or a Powerwall or a Power Pack, and so getting cells from Panasonic, the 18650s, made a lot of sense. And maybe when Gigafactory is cranking out even higher volume next year, that they can change that.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, I mean, certainly after a few years, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Tesla might be considering some sort of major redesign for S and X, right?
Right.
Yeah, but-
Other than the front fascia change, they haven't made a whole lot of changes to the.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if they keep the Falcon Wing doors on the X. Oh.
I think they've worked all those bugs out now. That it's a major selling point of it. I don't think they'll get rid of it.
Absolutely. But does it make it more profitable? Does it make it, more robust in the long term? I don't know.
That's when they sell for enough dollars that I don't think they have to worry about trying to cut corners like that.
Okay.
They're not going for a $35,000 Model X.
No, not at all.
Now,
Mark-
when they get to the Model Y, that's a whole other question.
Why?
I doubt it will have Falcon Wing doors, regardless of what has been tweeted in the past.
Yeah. I'm going to turn this next one over to Mark because I wasn't able to figure out what one of the acronyms means. So the Clean
Okay.
Technica.
The Europe
Yes,
story.
sir. Yes, sir.
So what happened recently is that Tesla has registered 17 left-hand drive Model 3 VIN numbers. And
Seriously, that is what was tripping you up.
that's
Well, it explains every acronym they use except for LHD, and I'm like, what is LHD?
Left-hand drive.
so
He's going, it's been a long time since you used LSD, man.
I'm just going to go to sleep. You guys have a good
So it's been shown that these VIN numbers have been registered, and it is anticipated that these 17 units are going to be shipped to Europe. The thought may be for testing. The thought may be that they will be starting to go on display, going to different stores, but it's the beginning of Tesla's, I guess, introduction to Europe. And Europeans, I am sure, are overjoyed with this news that they can now see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And yes, the light is coming from the headlights of a Model 3. So they're quite happy to see that it's started. How quick it'll go, again, we don't know. But certainly Tesla started with Australia 2 weeks ago, where they've introduced some cars over there as display models at different stores. And it looks like the same could be happening for Europe shortly.
Did they send left-hand drives or right-hand drives to Australia?
I think they sent left-hand drives to Australia.
Okay.
Because I don't recall them actually making right-hand drive units. No.
Any no Australians in the chat room, I'm guessing.
Bruce, where are you?
Yeah.
Where's our gentleman from New Zealand? Yeah.
Yeah. Help us. Please. What was that? Did I see
Well, it's tomorrow there, so I think I got his email yesterday. Let me
Hockey Day says it's no, Hockey Day says it's right.
right in. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Well,
Wait. Australia's left-hand drive. That wasn't the
no,
question.
you lived there for 6 months,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question was, what cars did they send there, left or right-hand drive?
Oh.
I wasn't questioning whether they were left or right-hand drive there.
Okay.
It's left-hand for sure.
We've already determined that I'm not a reliable source of information this evening. So
Yeah, I think they were right-hand drives. I think they're just display cars for the stores because otherwise this wouldn't be news, right? That
right.
we've seen the first VIN numbers with left-hand drive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, our next story comes from one of my favorite international news organs, the CBC. And unlike, it's rather interesting that I'm going to preempt the Canadian member of the panel and take this story because why not? I just don't want to wear him out. He's had a tough week. We've talked about the Ontario issue and Premier Doug Ford having revoked the electric vehicle credit for Tesla in what was pretty unfair sort of last minute yanking. Not surprising, but unfair nonetheless. As it turns out, the Ford government, which honestly is not a good phrase in so many ways, the Ford government has made a U-turn, to quote the CBC News story.
Wow.
And they have expanded the rebate to Tesla owners after the court told them they had to. So
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to give Premier Ford any credit here. And again,
Right.
Premier Ford is another phrase that just sticks in my throat. It just doesn't work very well.
Yep, the Ford government got up to the till and they were slapped by the court and said, guess what? What you've done is unconstitutional. You're going to reverse the decision, and Tesla is going to be allowed to collect the credits until the September 10th deadline, which, by the way, is 5 days away.
Oh.
So they had told them that that was going to happen, and instead of fighting any further, the government turned on their decision and rewrote it so that all Teslas now between July 11th and September the 10th now qualify for the $14,000. So we had a lot of overjoyed people in Ontario that were waiting for Model 3s or had gotten them and thought that they were out of the money and found out they're actually in the money, which was great.
Yeah, I mean, even 14,000, even in Canadian dollars, is a decent amount of money.
It's a lot of money. Yes, it is.
So just to explain, so this was a rebate program for any
EV.
An EV.
Correct.
And then they just decided they were losing too much money on people buying Teslas, and
Well,
stopped it
they
early
never actually said what the reason was, but they did point out that the cars that are being sold by dealerships would be able to phase out up to September the 10th. And then they indicated, but cars like Teslas that are sold by manufacturers did not qualify for the phase out.
for. Wow.
And since they
Yeah.
named it and actually named
Right.
Tesla in the wording, Tesla had a great leg to stand on and used their own language against them in the court, and it was quickly overturned by the court.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
dealerships are pretty powerful in local politics, so it makes sense that they want to have this carve out so they can get rid of what's on their lot and not be stuck with things.
Yeah.
And the government seemed to not care about Tesla at all, and wanted to do all they could to stick a needle in their eye there.
But I will tell you, Patrick, that there was this, I guess, this feeling because of the flood of Teslas that rolled into Ontario in the month of June, in some cases up to 2,200 of them, that there was this feeling that Tesla overloaded the system and the government had to find a way out of it as quickly as possible. Because there was so many people that had an order and were waiting. And then, of course, when June hit, they just started to roll in like mad. And of course, the government office that was receiving the receiving the requests for the rebate were flooded with, a huge amount, 2,200 new requests, and there were more coming in daily. So there was that factor. It was never actually, said that that's the point, but that could be part of the cause and effect.
Yeah, you put out an incentive and then people actually used it. Oh
They
my God, we
used
better
it.
cancel
They
that.
used
The system is working. Stop it. That's not how
We can't have successful government programs.
I'm sure there's a bean counter somewhere that had way lowballed the
Yeah.
estimated cost, though.
Also, Hockey Day is saying that in Ontario, Tesla owners, according to Ford, were mostly millionaires.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, and that's common. That's common through many jurisdictions. That if you own a Tesla, you're well off, and you have money to burn.
and that's true.
And
Any new
that
technology is expensive.
and
People
that
with money are the ones who can afford it. So, duh. all I can say.
But in this case, with the lower cost Tesla, there's a lot of people that are stretching their budgets in order to afford it. So
Right.
they're making that jump from maybe a Honda Civic into a Tesla. They're maybe doubling a payment that they would have made previously, but they want that freedom of electric, and they want to get away from oil, or they want to benefit the environment. But that is some of the things that are happening here as well.
Right. So the program should have some sort of means testing involved from the beginning, and above a certain income level, you're excluded or phased out. Or
Right. That would have been a better fix. It would have. Unfortunately, that wasn't put in place, and they didn't want to fix it that way. They just said we're jerking the rug out from everybody.
Yeah. So that's what at least it is a phase out for everybody now. It's fair across the board, and some people aren't left holding the bag. So I'm glad at least they straightened it out after being challenged.
So after the court challenge, do people have to actually physically take delivery then before September 10th?
Correct. It has to be plated with the ministry in order to qualify by September the 10th.
Wow.
but now that's the same for all of the EVs.
All
Where
the
before,
EVs. Yep.
Tesla had this July date and everybody else had a September date. That's what was BS.
Correct. Yeah. They were cut off immediately, and everyone else had basically an extra month.
So, but the people that took delivery after July 10th are okay, but the people that canceled their orders after, before they
They're
got
out.
delivery,
Yep.
their chances of getting their vehicle before September 10th,
They will not.
with the lateness of this ruling, it doesn't really help them.
Nope. And they can't go back upon it. So many people made the decision thinking they knew all the story and canceled their reservation, got their money back, and now they're probably quite irate that they could have had the car and the rebate if they had stayed in the game.
Yeah.
So it's nowhere near perfect. It just helps some of the people.
Wow.
There you go. Well, Mark, I'm gonna after doing a couple of Doug Ford jokes, I'm gonna pass this next one on to you, sir.
Next story is about Elon commenting about possibly the new bottleneck in Model 3 production, which he indicated was paint.
Two particular colors.
Yeah.
I happen to know somebody with one of those.
Black and white.
So it turns out it's the multi-coat colors. So the white and the aforementioned red seem to have some issues getting it right or getting it perfect. Because Elon had indicated in a tweet after being prompted about someone that's been somewhat disappointed about not being able to get a VIN number for their red car. He had indicated in a tweet, sorry, we've put pretty extreme rules in place for paint and quality in general. If need be, we're repainting or replacing entire sections of the car or build whole new cars. Got to be done, was his note. Multi-coat colors, pearl white and red, are the hardest. Red especially, as it has red tint in the clear coat layer itself for depth and complexity. So I didn't realize that, well, obviously you put a number of coats on it. That's certainly tougher than a single coat. But I didn't realize that the red actually even had basically a third tint in it inside the clear coat, whereas all the other cars' clear coat is clear. So something that we learned there from Elon responding to someone about their disappointment. And we've heard this from others, that some of these bottlenecks have happened as they're waiting for cars, that they're not getting a VIN number. And I have a friend that's waiting on a red, and he has not gotten a VIN number, but it seems that all the other people that registered at the same time he did and did not order red have all got their VINs and dates. So it seems to be true in his case as well. But in the early days, when I got my car in June, there was a ton of reds that were shipped. In fact, I think that was the most popular color. So
is this before they put quality in place?
Probably. That's why mine is blotchy. Maybe.
Oh.
Have you gone over it? Does it have blotches?
It does not have blotches. It is flawless as far as I could tell.
Paint is already peeling off.
No,
Is your bumper still attached?
So far, my back bumper is still attached. Now, it
Has
might
it
have
rained,
something to
though?
do with the Gorilla Tape I've added after the fact.
Yeah.
But no, it was kind of interesting to see that they're talking that paint might be a bit of a problem at this point. As they ramp up and are pumping out a lot more cars, which will be our last story.
You said yours is red too, right, Evan?
Yep. See there. if somebody came
there.
up-
What's up with the red cars?
Yeah, put him
Oh,
on.
man, he looks so good though.
Wait, who took that picture?
My friend Phil, who tried to take delivery.
Aw.
That's another story we can talk about later if you want. Tried to take delivery yesterday. We went up because it's a 360-mile round trip up to Kansas City to the service center where they also do the deliveries. And they called us the day ahead and told us everything was ready to go. And he gave me a ride up with his wife driving the Prius. And halfway to Kansas City yesterday morning, they called him and said, we have a problem with your car. And they had supposedly inspected it and cleared it the day before, but then somehow found this, call it 8-inch diameter area on the rear trunk of his car that had been, looks like thrashed with a nylon tie-down cable on either the truck or the train. And it basically beat the paint away in an area down to the metal. And, so
Jeez.
I'm not sure who did the inspection or if they just lied to him that it had been inspected the day before, but he was pretty pissed. So, but he came home with a P100D loaner Model S while they fix his.
Oh, that's not too bad of a consolation prize.
No, not too bad, but still disappointing when you're expecting something else.
Oh yeah,
All right.
yeah, absolutely.
So have you gone over your car in detail looking for paint defects, Evan?
Nah, not really. I'm
Nope,
not that
it's
OCD about it. It looks good. I walked around it. It looked okay to me.
There
Yeah.
you go. Well, at least Evan's not as embarrassed as some people. In the next story, the folks at Koenigsegg, and they are a supercar manufacturer, said they're embarrassed by the Tesla Roadster. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means their Tesla's $250,000 Roadster. How do we say? Stomps it like a narc at a biker rally, and their car costs $2.5 million. 2.1 million. I have to look up. I'm actually doing that from memory. It's super expensive. So yeah, you know what?
They're
when-
getting the ultimate smackdown that Musk promised.
there you go. Now, that said, we've only seen one operating Roadster. And Koenigsegg has actually been making their vehicles and putting them out there. Now, does that make it better? No, it doesn't. But all the better for the proving. And yeah, I mean, when you've got an order of magnitude cheaper with superior specs, yeah, it's embarrassing, right?
Yeah, like how there was that classic comparison between it and the I want to say it was a $2.1 million car.
I think it was the Lamborghini Diablo. Was that the one?
Possibly. And the specs, they lined them out, range, the speed quarter mile, the speed 0 to 60, all the different specs, and the Roadster just put it to shame at less than a quarter of the cost. And it was like just embarrassing. And it sounds like this other supercar maker has done the specs and looked at it as well and said, you know what, we are really going to have to pick up our game. But it's funny that in the article, they didn't mention anything about trying to get away from a gasoline engine to do that. They were just talking about how they were going to make their engine better.
Koenigsegg's kind of weird. They really love the gas thing and this hybrid powertrain that they've been playing with for years. I don't know why, but obviously somebody there's, just, we got to keep the gas thing on board.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, our friend Fred Lambert at Electrek kind of misstates something here in the bottom when he says that Rimac, another hypercar maker, should make an EV. They already do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think another thing to take into consideration with these the high-end sports cars is not only is the initial cost extremely high, but the routine maintenance required on these things is unbelievably expensive. $10,000-$20,000 a year, just for routine maintenance on these things.
Well, if you're buying a $2.1 million car,
Right.
I think that's what you're concerned with. You have a guy that does that for you, and you pay him year round anyway.
And I bought mine in Canada just for the incentive.
Yeah, Tony from North Bay, Ontario. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even so even if you can afford it, your car is often out of commission at a specialty center, in some, there's only a couple places, and the Roadster, it's there a few moving parts. It's once you get it, you got it, you drive it. It's going to require very little. I don't know. Obviously, I'm a little biased on that.
Yeah, but then you miss out on that whole service center cup of espresso.
That is a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surge brings you over the cup of espresso. You get in
So I hear that Tesla's not charging enough for this car. That's the real lesson here.
yeah.
Well,
That's right.
it'll go. Yeah, well, that's the base model.
Yeah. We'll see. It'll be interesting when the Roadster actually gets out there and we get some real world specs on it. Not that I don't believe, but I think we're all about actual performance versus promised performance.
It'll be fun to start seeing them roll out in 2020.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. And my thing, of course, I say this, all the time, is I hate the whole hang up around the 0 to 60 thing.
Should we instead measure it in feet off a railroad track?
Yes. That would be much
Would that
better.
make you feel better?
Yes, it would. I just, I understand if you're comparing supercars or whatever, or track racing or whatever, but for those of us who simply drive to work and drive home, we don't have to worry about whether or not we can do 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds.
Well, I don't
Hypermiler.
think they're aiming at that market to sell the car.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for the Roadster, that metric does make sense. I
Yeah, you are not the target customer, Tony. Just like
What? Ah,
customer.
okay, that's it. I'm tweeting Elon.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It may sound judgy, but
I'm going to insist that he makes the next gen Roadster something that I can haul 3 kids and groceries and take my dog to the dog walk. Yeah,
how
basically.
much duct tape do you have with you?
And does your wife know you have kids?
That's okay. This isn't being recorded. She doesn't-
I think nobody watches this show.
There's a reason we change channels midweek. There's a reason. Yes.
Did anybody actually still find us?
There's a lot of people
There's
that
a lot of
found us.
people,
It's-
yeah.
Again, we got great detective watchers out there. I see in the
Right.
chat room we've got like 20 people watching right now. So
And a shout out to John, who, he was like, "Hey, I didn't get a notice," and we're like, "No, it was because we're on the What Drives Us thing." So he threw us a subscription. So we got another subscriber. on What Drives Us.
it's another way to drive up the
So we
subscriptions.
got
There
some
you
pull
go.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Mark, help me out with this next electric article. What
Yeah,
happened? in
well,
August?
as everyone remembers, back a quarter ago, Elon had indicated that they wanted to be at the point of 6,000 Model 3s per week by the end of August. Well, according to this report from Electric, they did not make it. They were under the 6,000 mark, and the article goes on to say that, but their overall goal is still on track. So they didn't make the 6,000 at one point at the end of August. You can remember back a quarter ago, they made the 5,000 at one point. And of course, they've been going over 5,000, through the next quarter and into August, but they didn't quite reach that 6,000 mark. So is this part of the paint issue as well? Maybe something along that line could be part of it. There could be many reasons, but they didn't quite do it, but they're not too worried. And we have a story at the end, not even listed here, that Russell knows about yet, but that we'll talk a little bit more about numbers. But interesting to see that they didn't make that number, but feel that they're not too far off track as it sits.
There you go. Well, speaking of not making numbers and being off track, ooh, I'm so clever tonight. No, wait, I'm actually not having a good night. I want to share a little video. This is a little race. There's a Model 3 Performance versus a C7 Corvette, which, as everyone knows, is a fine family economy car. Yeah, and for those of you who really aren't really sure if a Tesla Model 3 Performance can beat a C7 Vet, you're going to see it in the side camera from the Tesla here for about a second and a half.
Wait, don't tell me how this ends. I want to be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're only going to see this once the race starts. You don't get to see the Corvette for very long.
Yeah, except you didn't say which way it's going to go. Which way? Oh, the suspense.
Oh. Ooh. Okay, maybe not. Wow, this is the boring part, right? What's up with that? Okay, here we go. Up to the line. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow, this is the most boring right there. I mean, do they go any faster?
They're going really slow here in this race.
Yeah, you can hear the motor in the Tesla
Is
revving
that
up.
Tyrion? Is Tyrion doing the race?
Let's not make those jokes. Yes. And goodbye.
Whoa, off the line, left him in the dust.
And nothing left.
Go to sleep, Chevrolet. Thank you.
Wow.
And it's funny, if you do watch the video yourself, you can hear the Tesla owner laugh as he speeds away. After like half a second, you hear this little maniacal laugh that comes out of his mouth and is recorded on the tape.
For those of you who like numbers, in the quarter mile, the Tesla finished at 11.74 seconds for a top speed of 114.12. The Corvette C7 finished at 13.28, almost 2 full seconds behind them for a top speed of 113.19.
Does the Corvette have a tail that it can tuck as it?
Yeah. In the end, the Corvette owner still has a Corvette. So, there's something for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what he will tell himself as he goes home.
Right.
In his midlife crisis mobile, but now it's caused another kind of crisis of confidence within.
And even the cheapest Corvette is not cheap.
No. Oh, no. What is that, a $65,000, $70,000 car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the other thing I don't get is in the description, it says that the C7 features the new LT1 motor, right? They describe a 6.2 liter as a small block V8. What the hell is a large block V8? I would call a 6-liter V8 a large block, a full-size V8,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just...
So what was the Tesla's time again?
11.74.
Okay. So it looks like probably in the right hands, the C7 ought to be able to accomplish about that. But still pretty good.
Just take the baby seat out first. Yeah, that's all. Before you go to the track, take the baby seat out, because really, there's nothing worse than a crying Corvette owner.
Maybe if the driver would let her husband drive.
Let's see. I found out.
You had to go there, didn't you, Tony?
Well, it was laying there, and there was some dead space, so I thought.
And no one else was picking it up. Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to be nice today.
Oh,
I don't have it in me. Mark, why don't you take what is surely not the last story?
Well,
but
now
the
that's been
penultimate
warned
story this
3
season.
times. I think so. Yeah. The there is a car show that's done in, I believe it's California, called
No,
the.
it's Basel, Switzerland.
Oh, it's Basel, Switzerland. That's why it's called the
The
Grand
Grand-
Basel.
Yes.
The Grand Basel. Okay. All right. They had indicated that Tesla had indicated there was going to be a surprise at that car show. It wasn't too much of a surprise. Even on our Twitter account, we were talking about it upcoming, and most likely it was going to be a new gen Roadster. And it turns out that that's exactly what showed up, was the new gen Roadster. So kudos to the guessing on the Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, as people indicated what they thought it would be. And it turned out to be the white one, most likely the same one that was shown at Tesla headquarters a couple of months ago. So it appears to be the same model that they had out front of, I believe it was an investor meeting. That it was just parked out front. But man, does that car ever look fantastic in white with the jet black windows? Now I'm sure you can't drive it because the windows are completely painted black.
or just completely painted, because
Yeah,
they
like
had said it was just a design shell.
It is incredible looking. I don't know if I'd want to drive it at night because you would not be able to see a damn thing.
I hope
Like
they're
a
going to do something
stormtrooper
about
mode.
that windshield wiper, though. Man, that is.
That is now
Really
it's
odd.
funny you mentioned that, Evan, because we talked about that in the photographs that you showed us of the Tesla Semi.
Yes.
Very
Oh, yeah.
similar to what the Tesla Semi has on the front of it.
Semi.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it on a semi.
Why would they be using it here as well? That's interesting.
Because it's a shell. Same reason
Yeah.
it doesn't have
'Cause
side
it's
mirrors.
something that'll never make
Hold it off
production.
the
Somebody,
That's what you're
because
saying.
they made it and they said, "Oh shit, we don't have a wiper." So they ran over the semi, they ripped it off, and they put, because that makes absolutely no aerodynamic sense right there.
Well,
That
It
is
is kind of 24 hours of Le Mans-ish cool, but
okay for that maybe, but in the final product, that makes no sense.
see, I don't mind the wiper. I think the rear windshield is like, okay, so basically there's no rear visibility.
How do you-
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
good.
That little strip of a windshield or
Oh.
window in the back is.
You don't need it. You're going to be going faster than everybody.
What are you going to look
Exactly.
at the
You only need
Corvette?
to look forward.
Are you going to look at the Corvette behind you?
Yeah.
just enough room to wave goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that rear glass though. That's
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
there's no question that it's beautifully designed. But as always with the concepts, it's interesting to see what will happen to it when it actually gets here.
Yeah, and I love that we're arguing about the practicality of this
200
car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
this
I
will not
mean,
work well for getting groceries.
Right. Yeah. Look at that front badge. It's hideous. I can't believe it.
Patrick,
No
for
one's
millionaires
talking
like you, this is the perfect grocery getter.
Mm.
And no one's demanding to see the frunk and how big that is to put your
Right.
grocery bags in there. Yes.
Right.
What if the front is too small? Oh, the pain of existence. Okay, Mark, take us away, Calgon.
All right,
What
we got 2 quick things. If you are curious as to what actually would fit in your Tesla, we have someone that has been sending us some Twitter pics
Oh, nice.
of what actually fits in a Model 3.
I love
so-
it.
So here's someone that went to their, I don't know, local
65
video only location and picked up a 65-inch television.
That's a
It was-
65-inch TV. And
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Still
65
amazing.
inch.
Yes, that's nice.
that's
So,
impressive.
They just dropped her in place, and it fit no problem with obviously folding the back seats down. But
Right.
Wow.
that's kind of cool. If you have interest in seeing this type of thing on our Twitter feed, if you use the hashtag fits in a Model 3, you can look it up and check out what fits in the back of a Model 3
That's
through that
hilarious.
hashtag.
So it's not about people having fits. in a Model
No, it's not. It's not about that.
Oh, we had to go there, didn't we?
And
we had
the
to make the
final-
midget joke and go there.
The final story of the day is we got some numbers of sales, or estimated numbers, from our friends at Inside EVs. And they've indicated for the month of August that it's been a huge month of sales for Tesla. A new record of 17,800 Model 3s were sold during the month of August. 2625 Model S's and 2750 of Model X. Again, records all the way across the board.
Awesome.
It was a fantastic month for deliveries, which we had thought about that would be the case based on, the buildup of cars over the previous quarter and them being distributed over the next 3 months. 2 months, and now September will be the third. But it was good to see that the 14,000 Model 3s and change that were produced last month has now been upsold now, and the new record's now 1780 or 17,800. So good to see the numbers are still continuing to go up.
Yay.
Just as a point of reference, in 2015, Tesla sold a total of 18,600 Model S's for the whole year.
Mm.
Oh yeah, that's have the number of 3s on the road, has it surpassed the number of S's yet?
Oh God, it's got to be
I wonder-
close.
It's
right?
55,000 3s on the road.
So there's a ways to go.
Yeah.
There's got to be
Okay.
more than that, aren't there? Because there's VINs. My VINs like in the 64,000s. I know 70,000s are out there.
Mine's 75,000.
Yeah.
According to Inside EVs, we
But
can just
the-
go
the-
click on it.
Yeah, the VINs are not linear though. I mean, there's
True,
big
true.
gaps in them.
True.
So I think it was, they had indicated that it was 55,000 total at this point. I could be wrong, but I thought I read
There's
that
still
in the article.
20,000 of them they're trying to paint red, apparently.
I'm sorry. The year to date tally so far stands at 55,882.
Okay, and there were some in 2017, not a lot, a couple thousand.
Yeah.
So
So we've got a ways to go
Yep.
to catch S and X, but still.
Okay, guys, I got something for you here. And this is compliments of JT24 in the chat.
Oh,
Yes. He, oh, wait.
thank
I
you,
have to-
JT.
Yes. He pointed out something that might be worth looking at, which is, hold on, I got to get to there, get to there, get to here. This is a McLaren.
McLaren?
McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren. Yeah, McLaren. Yeah, whatever. I'm trying to think 2 sentences ahead. And you will see that it has one huge wiper. Now,
Interesting.
it's not big. It's not like sticking out on the
Yeah,
windshield.
it's not
like
bolted to the hood.
Right. At least it's tucked under. But yes, there is the fact that the McLaren does have the one huge wiper like that.
And we know that Elon's a McLaren fan because after he made his money, that's the car he bought and crashed.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah. So
All right.
that was it. JT24 just pointed out the McLaren P1 has a huge wiper like we saw on the Roadster, and so there it is.
And I think we've got a great title for the show, do we not?
Do we?
Yes,
Which
a
one?
number of them have been submitted, and
One
I
big
think,
wipe.
I think Tesla Park Boys wins as far as I'm concerned.
But I do have to admit that was my entry, and I kind of feel bad when so many people in the chat give out good options, and that was mine.
Tesla Park Boys just sums it up as to what happened in Barrie over the railway tracks.
It is a Canadian story too. I mean, we got to
Yeah.
give a little respect to our friends up north.
We have one flew over the track, as he suggested.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
That's
Did
good.
you see
Well,
the
why
other-
don't you guys look that over? Let me let's wrap this up and do some shout outs and go home. Tony, why don't you do your shout outs, my friend?
No, I'm busy typing in. Thanks
You're
for
busy
hanging with
typing.
us,
Okay,
everyone in the chat, because my shout out is for everyone who spent the last hour with us. Thanks for taking time out of your day and spending an hour with us. I always love monitoring the chat. I just think it's a lot of fun, and I love the sidebar conversations and everything. And I love when we stumble over something and you set us straight. So thanks everyone. Thanks guys and Catherine for hanging with us tonight.
There you go.
Or this afternoon or tomorrow or wherever you are.
Depending on which side of the date line you reside.
Yes.
Mr. Connor, who's waiting patiently.
Hello. So there are only a few days left in the current referral program. So if you guys are going to buy a Tesla S, X, or performance vehicle, hit up Evan and get his code.
I need one more. I actually did get one more referral code. I've got 4. I need one more.
Oh, no.
Yes.
You need
September
one
6th.
more?
Yeah, so I got 11 days, folks. And remember, you can now get a Model 3 Performance with unlimited supercharging.
Right. And you can pay extra and get track mode too.
See,
So go ahead, Russell. What are you going to say?
No, please.
Are you going to buy one? Were you looking for the code?
I'm going to get it from Evan after the show.
Okay. All right. You can find me at carswithcords.net, and I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and all the socials.
Yay. Okay, Dr. Fusco, what do you got?
I got nothing. Like I said, if I can get one more referral, that would be sweet. If not, that's fine too. But I appreciate everybody tuning in, and if you want to buy a really nice early Model S, hit me up for that too.
See, Evan needs your referral code, and he needs somebody to buy his Model S. Do you want to cough up details?
Just content. It's a 2012 rear-wheel drive, 85 kilowatt with 97,000 miles, and I'm throwing in an extra set of rims mounted with like new snow tires, and it's got lots of little upgrades scattered throughout that I've bought throughout the years.
And of course, Evan never drove it over 40 miles an hour. And never garaged it, so
Never launched it off a railroad track.
He's never been to Barrie.
yeah, he's never been to Barrie. Exactly.
Never been to Barrie.
Mr. Coughlin, bring us home, please.
I'd like to thank everyone for watch the show. Please follow us at our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life to get all your news throughout the week. Follow us on Facebook, The Twitter Life. Yes, the Tesla Life #1 on Facebook, and also if you're out there and have interest in EVs, Teslas or any other EVs. There is a little thing called National Drive Electric Week that happens starting this weekend and runs for a full week, 2 weekends. Check out National Drive Electric Week on the web, and there should be a number of different events that are happening around you. If you're anywhere in the United States or Canada, they are everywhere. Please click on a couple of links, find something that's close to you, and go out and attend an event that is happening close. It's a great way to be introduced to the world of EVs, to talk to owners, to get your questions answered, to take a test drive, all in one place. So it's a nonprofit thing. Please come out and join us starting this weekend and running for, I guess, 9 days. And we'll be in Kitchener if you happen to be around. We're hosting the largest one in Canada. And we would love you to come out if you're in the Kitchener area or want to travel to the Kitchener area. We would love to have you.
Yeah, I'd second that, because last year I went to the one here in Tigard, and it was great. I got to check out the Chevy Bolt. I got to sit in the Pacifica plug-in hybrid. I tooled around in Arcimoto's vehicle. It's a fun day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, the cool thing, it's grassroots. It happens all over the place by EV owners. This isn't some huge corporate sponsorship thing. So do check it out. It's a good way to get out and look at different EV options. That's all I got. As always, I want to give thanks to Lee Moon for our theme music. He performed it, recorded, and lets us play it for free. Thanks, Lee. Totally within our budget. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Huge chat room tonight. Nice. The chat room.
Including some trolls, which is a new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're big time now. We got
I don't even know what's going on there.
We've made
I'll
it.
hit the big time.
Once again, Dr. Evan Fusco's referral code is ts.la Evan4452. That is ts.la/Evan 4452. One more referral gets him over the thing, and then he gets a back rub from Elon. So come on. Evans really wants to have a one-to-one with Elon. No.
And Russell inadvertently feeds the trolls right there.
And
Oh no, that was on purpose.
that wasn't accidental. That's all I got. Thanks to Mark and Tony and Patrick and Evan for showing up and making a great Tesla Life. Next week, Tesla Life fans, we will be back on the Tesla Life page. No more hanging out on the What Drives This living room. We'll be back on our own page. So do look for us then. Thanks for following us over here while I've been in Texas. Mark, I'm just waiting for one more thing.
No, I'm extended.
Awesome.
I don't have any more.
Tune in next week and find out what is going on in the Tesla life. Oh, there's a little music. See ya.